Hi, everybody. This is JoAnne Eisen, and I'm here with You Are Unlimited to do another interview tonight. And so tonight we have a very special guest that Gloria Breaking is going to be coming back. And she's going to be talking to us tonight about breaking free from your barriers. So if everybody would welcome Gloria. Gloria, would you like to introduce yourself once again to people who may not have seen you the first time and let us know a little bit about breaking free from your barriers?
Sure. I'm Gloria Breaking, and I provide work that I call connecting. And by that, I mean I connect with the depths of your soul. I connect with the celestial kingdom. I connect with the deceased. And I do that with the intent of finding exactly where your glitch is or your barrier is that's keeping you from living that fullness, that life that you want so much to live, from being the truth of who you are. And I listen on a very deep, soulful level or from the higher realm. And I ask for very practical yet graceful ways for you to move forward with the greatest of ease.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is also a very special, beautiful gift that you have.
Thank
I have
you.
experienced it.
Uh,
Do you want to tell people a little bit about what breaking free from your barriers is all about?
sure. I'm feeling like I want to be of service to these folks.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just talk about what we do to keep ourselves from moving forward. And then
Okay.
we can get in more details because I'd really like to be of service in the best way I can here during this time.
Mm-hmm.
What we have a tendency to do is go into an emotion that keeps us stuck or keeps
Mm-hmm.
us in a barrier, if you
Right.
will. I think of it like a hard shell around us and we're pecking away and we can't get out of the darn thing.
Uh-huh.
And I find that what people do more than anything else that hurts them the most, that
Yeah.
keeps them in that place of where they don't want to be,
Uh-huh.
is their judgment or their judgments. Sometimes we have a whole bunch of those judgments that weigh us down.
Right.
So I believe and feel truly, and it's been my experience when working with other folks, that the best way to move forward is through acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
And when I work with people, I have this sense of who they are bigger than what their issues are because I'm going the depth of their soul, or I'm listening to some angel telling me about them, or I'm hearing their higher presence. And because I can feel this truth of who they really are, I can just love them really big and I accept them unconditionally. And I'm not saying to you or any of these good folks here that I'm able to do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I am able to do that when I'm working with people
Mm-hmm.
because I feel the depth of who they are. And so, because I hold this space of so much unconditional acceptance and
Mm-hmm.
love for someone, it gives them the space to let go of their judgments or their fear. Well, it's all based on judgments. You can call it fear or anxiety or
Mm-hmm.
hurt or anger or confusion. It still comes from a judgment.
Mm-hmm.
I hold that space and love them so big. And sometimes all we need is one person to reflect back to us the truth of who we are. So we can let go easier, you see,
Mm-hmm.
and then we
Mm-hmm.
can move forward and have that life we all yearn to have.
It's funny because I went in two different directions when you said that. Um, where do these where do our judgments usually come from? Now, let me go back one more step. When you're talking about you're going to the depths of somebody's soul, can you explain what that feels like to you and help somebody who may be unfamiliar with that, what that would be like?
Oh, I'd love to, because I love going to the depths of someone's soul. it's such a it's such a opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
feel the truth of someone.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like this: it's that part of you that has no judgments, that has no faults, that isn't tarnished or blemished in any kind of way. It's that part of you that's pure perfection.
Mm-hmm.
So your soul is that part of you that's eternal and goes with you from lifetime to lifetime and feels all those human feelings that you're feeling, but doesn't, I would say, attach to them or believe them even. That soul of who you are believes in the truth of who you are, that higher self that doesn't get stuck in fear or judgment or confusion, that self that knows the presence, say the God presence or the spiritual presence of who you are. So it feels delicious.
Uh-huh. It's going to, before we got all mucked up with being a human being, is what you're saying.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I see it as if we let go of the judgment of that, JoAnne, we wouldn't say mucked up so much as we would say something like, oh, before we got way down with our fears and all those things that we as humans have a tendency to do.
Now, when you're working with someone and you're helping to show who the truth of who they are, is that something that happens one time, or is there an onion effect to that? How does it work when you actually see something?
To say an onion effect is a good way to say it. I believe we all have layers. And I used to just have sessions with folks and they would call up. You know what I found? I found that people would call up when they were in a crisis, you know, when their back was up against a wall. And then I'm getting them out of this crisis and helping them with this major catastrophe or trauma. And I thought, boy, this isn't the way that I would really like to help people. So I went from doing these individual sessions to backing up and saying, okay, Spirit, what's a more comprehensive way? What can I do to help folks avoid these situations that they're creating?
Yeah.
And that's why I do courses now. Sometimes I refer to them, I go back and forth. I refer to them either as courses or as programs. And that's why I do those, so that people have time to unravel whatever it is that they need to unravel. And I believe, JoAnne, from my experience and those I worked with, that the first step to change is always awareness. But with that awareness, you need more, because we get stuck in the way we are. It feels good. The familiar is familiar. We all like that comfortable feeling of familiar.
Absolutely.
So the way to allow one to move beyond that which is comfortable, even though they may be very unhappy, they know it, right? They know it's comfortable in that it's familiar, not in any other way. So the way to move beyond that is, first step is awareness. And next, what you want to do is have a way to change that behavior and bring up an emotion that feels better, and to repeat it over and over and over again.
Change those thinking patterns.
Well, or habits, or whatever it may be. So when they become aware of, first of all, where their barrier is, and then they have an opportunity to bring a new behavior in that feels really good, and then have an opportunity to repeat it. So it becomes a part of their brain. It becomes a part of their neural pathway and the direction their brain automatically wants to go.
Exactly. So you're now doing Breaking Free from Your Barriers. And this is a course that really, because one of the things that I've noticed too, and in our familiar, we have our perception, our perspective. And so by working with someone and getting a different view, it also helps us to see things from a different angle.
Yes.
Right. Which helps us to be able to change even more those neural pathways.
Yes, that's what I consider awareness, that we become an observer of ourselves, basically. I truly believe in doing things with ease and grace. So I'm not one to push people and freak out their nervous system. We have enough going on, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We don't need anyone to say, hey, get this. So I truly believe there are loving ways to move beyond discomfort, to break free. and I look for those ways that are most loving.
Which is important, because I think in our world now, it's such a push-pull kind of environment. So we feel like that's the way that we have to go through life, is fighting or working or accomplishing. And I know for me, that's a new way of even thinking, to go through life with ease and grace and feel like you just kind of, you get it done and you do it in a more calm way. And it's really more of a lovely way to go through life. And I know that for me, even in that realm, it's changing my way of thinking from my past and pushing myself or judging myself and not doing something well enough, or I should have done something better or faster or different. But we're all different, right?
Yes, we are. We
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And that's why in each of my programs, JoAnne, it's very important to me that people get individual guidance.
Mm-hmm.
I've created programs based on what I hear in meditation and prayer time, what Spirit directs me to do, and the experiences I have with working with people.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless if it's a group program or not, I want you to get individual attention, because everyone gets stuck in different ways.
Right. Do you want to take us through what people can expect through this particular program that you have coming up soon?
Okay. Yes, it starts February the 11th, and it's a 9-week program. I call it Breaking Free from Your Barriers. And the foundation of it is compassion. And I think of compassion as an act of non-judgment.
Okay.
So everything we do in the course, we're doing from the perspective of, how can I be compassionate as I move through my judgments, or my thoughts, or my guilt, or my fear, or my habits? We cover all of those kinds of things: thoughts, judgments, habits, fear, guilt. Guilt's a big one.
Yeah.
Beliefs. We go through all of that, and I do it in such a way that we progress. We begin in a way that we just discover what it feels like to be the essence of compassion. That's how we start. We're not looking at any big judgment or fear. We're just allowing ourselves that space of being in the essence of compassion. And to me, it's like, feel how wonderful it feels. Experience that experience of compassion itself. Then we can take compassion and start delving into your judgments, your thoughts that hurt you, your fears, your guilt, your shame, whatever it may be.
How does the compassion help you? I mean, I understand from the surface if you're more compassionate with yourself, but how is that going to help to really go deeper into understanding why you have these fears or these judgments on yourself?
Well, it's like going from a place of feeling like something's wrong with you, or you're not enough, you're not capable. I mean, there's a whole list I could go into about beliefs people have about wherever they're at in their life. It's going from that place to, wow, I really am a good person. I'm a person that deserves to be loved. I'm a person that's loving. I'm a person who's doing the best I can with the beliefs I hold in this moment, in time, in my life.
Yes.
And it's having this tenderness, this honesty that's so tender and so loving and so accepting that there's no beating yourself up as you move along.
Right.
And when you quit beating yourself up, I'm telling you, miracles can happen. You'd be surprised at the progress you can make when you just quit beating yourself up.
Yes. Because that leads you into a whole negative way of thinking, depression, like you said, anxiety, so many of those kinds of negative feelings. And then when we feel that way, then we really can't go forward. We don't feel the energy to move forward, let alone having a clear picture of where we even want to go.
Yes, yes. It takes a lot of energy to feel bad.
Yeah, it does. It does.
who wants to do anything else when you feel bad? It's enough that you feel bad, right?
Yeah. But you're right. It goes right into that judgment of who we are and the past thinking. So I can see compassion being a huge thing to help you to understand why you do even what you do.
Yes.
Yes.
It takes the sting out of it.
Yes, it does. Absolutely. What are there any other things that you're going to be covering in this course?
Well, I'll tell you how it works. On Monday morning, the participants receive an audio from me.
Mm-hmm.
And in that audio, I do that first step to change, which is bring something to your awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking in the audio, and in the audio, not only do I share with you sometimes examples of myself, and I listen to spirit on what to say. And in those audios, for example, you hear about what it means to be compassion and the essence of compassion. Or you hear about what a judgment really is and how it hurts you. Or you hear about how your beliefs were created and how there is a way to move through them. So you'll hear about whatever, say, topic, although it's all compassion, it's about building on the compassion toward oneself, thus toward all others in life too, you see.
Yeah.
Very specifically, I'm moving through those issues that most folks have that I've worked with.
Okay.
And I'm giving you time to practice. So you get the audio and you create an awareness. And then at the end of the audio, I give you a soulful opportunity to practice a loving way to move through that judgment, or to be the essence of compassion, or to move through your guilt, or to observe your thoughts without hardship. I give you a way that you practice during the week. And then you have 4 days. On Thursday night, we have a group call. And in that call, I make space for everyone, whoever wants to, can share. And anytime any individual in the group that feels stuck or confused or had a hard time, I listen soulfully to that person. And I say, here's specifically what you can do to move forward with greater love or ease or grace.
So one of the things that I see in what you're talking about is that this is a tool that you can put in your toolbox for anything after this. Once they learn this process, that they could go back and keep doing it throughout their life.
Absolutely. They will have the audios, and I record all the group calls. So if someone can't make it for a week, they get the recording, and we always benefit. Even if a person's not on the call, they're going to benefit from hearing others.
Yes.
And I make a very safe space for sharing. I don't allow for any judgments or anyone processing anyone else. If someone has a suggestion, I ask that they do it in the most compassionate way they can muster up inside of them.
It is a safe, free zone. Or
a safe, free zone. Exactly, dear. It truly is a safe, free zone.
Yes, exactly. Do you go through any other emotion like unconditional love or any other in your process? Are they experiencing other forms of those emotions besides compassion?
Oh, of course they are. Okay. One leads to the other. When you open your heart to compassion, which is a non-judgmental place to be, I think of words like tender. I think of honesty. I think of, say, deep love, patience, comfort. I think of all those words when I think of compassion. So what happens is they start out one way saying, just like I did when I taught the course last year, I thought, oh, I'm a compassionate person. And then I started taking the course and I realized how much deeper I could go with my compassion. And my big hang up that I realized I had is when I saw someone judging someone, I would judge them for judging.
Oh my goodness. How many times do we all do that? Calling kettle black.
I need to bring some compassion in here, not only toward myself, like, hey, I could look at it and say, wow, look what I do and feel bad. Well, that won't help. Or I could look at it and say, oh, oh, look what a tendency I have. I kind of laughed at it and thought, okay, now how can I use compassion to
Uh-huh.
stop this judging? And what they do is the people in the course and myself as well, because I'll go through it again with them,
Mm-hmm.
will have an opportunity to practice it at such a deep level. That's what I want, because I know to change a habit or behavior or thought pattern, it's really important that you have enough practice with it, that you
Mm-hmm.
have a new feeling, a new thought.
Mm-hmm.
That's important.
Yes, it is. It really is. You've got to change a old thought with a new thought, and it's
Yes.
going to take practice to be able to accomplish that. Usually more than 30 days.
Yes.
Yeah,
Usually more.
28 they say, but I find it usually is more than 28.
Well, it's when you have that feeling that's so deep inside of you,
Right.
when you naturally start going to that new
Right.
behavior, that new, then
Yeah.
you've got it handled.
Yeah. Well, I find with me, I think that I've got it handled, and then another little arm will like sneak in there, and you're, oh my goodness, I thought I did this already.
That happens sometimes. What an opportunity for you to go even deeper with that learning.
Exactly. Now, is this course for everybody?
It's for people who are ready to look honestly at themselves and who want to grow and move forward, who like the idea of a practice that enables them to be more the truth of who they are. So if you're not ready to grow, if you're not ready to break free from something, and that's okay if you're not ready, sometimes we're just not.
Yeah.
It's not the course for you. And
Right.
wait till, maybe you'll be ready another time. Maybe it feels too fearful to you.
Mm-hmm.
Trust, it's okay to have a little fear. We want to have a little fear and stretch beyond our comfort zone, right? But if
Exactly.
you're totally freaked out about it, then you probably need to start somewhere else.
Right. And that's a really good point, because a lot of people talk about not being afraid, and we need to, overcome our fears and all of those things. But fear really is our friend if we don't let it run our life. And there's a big difference in that. When we're just living our life based on fear and it's controlling our lives, then that's not healthy. But fear will tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, be aware, is this right for you? Is it not? Is this stretching you, or is it not? And if you have a healthy relationship with fear, then you can answer it honestly, don't you think?
Well, and I also think for myself, because I'm a deep thinker and I go
Uh-huh.
to many levels with emotions, I think, okay, so what's this fear really about? Like, I'll take it a question deeper and I'll breathe deep into that fear. And I teach a lot about the power of the breath in the course, because you
Hmm.
can move mountains with your breath.
Yes, you can.
I'll breathe deeply in it and I'll look at it more closely.
Uh-huh.
Because sometimes we'll have a fear of one thing, but it's really not about that thing. It's about something else. It's about a belief we hold that we have a deeper fear with. So
Uh-huh.
I always look at, so what's the fear really about? And I
Right.
breathe deeply and I ask myself questions. And sometimes I breathe in a little technique I believe angels gave to me called God's loving acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Can use whatever word resonates with you. I always tell folks, if you don't like the word God, use spirit or universe or
Mm-hmm.
Buddha or Jesus or whatever works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed me to breathe in God's loving acceptance. Well, actually, I was in meditation and I heard God's loving acceptance and I felt all this. I was breathing deeply and I
Mm-hmm.
felt all this glorious energy come into my heart and I felt this deep peace. And I heard, now it's time to practice this. So that's something you can do if you're judging yourself about where you're at. If it's a
Mm-hmm.
fear or a guilt or a habit, breathe in God's loving acceptance. Use the word that resonates with you. Breathe it in deep into your heart and breathe it through your body, or breathe it in deep through your belly,
Mm-hmm.
belly breaths, and keep breathing it until you feel a sense of acceptance toward where you're at, or relief. It may be that you can't completely accept it, but you
Mm-hmm.
can get a sense of relief from it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really a big tip. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because breath is so important for all parts of our bodies, all parts of our thinking, all parts of our emotions. And most people don't even realize they're not breathing.
Especially if we feel we're stressed out.
Right.
We'll have a tendency to take shallow breaths or even hold our breath sometimes.
Which you hear that in the medical profession, like they tell you when they're going to give you a shot to breathe or it'll be more painful.
Yes, yes, yes. Or going to a dentist or
exactly, all those fun things.
Yeah.
So the class is 9 weeks, and then you have the Monday, the video goes out, and then you have the call. Is there anything after that?
Well, sometimes I do a post call after that. Oh, I forgot to tell you this, and this is important. Everyone gets an individual 30-minute session, preferably before the course actually starts. I'd like to go into their energy and really see where they're stuck with compassion, or I won't even say stuck. That could be a word that some folks, it might feel a little harsh to.
Yeah.
I would say where they have a discomfort. And I could let them know, okay, here's what the course specifically means for you individually. And here's something I want you to start right here and now practicing before the course even begins. So everybody gets a 30-minute session. And I listen as I go through the course. Like last year when I taught it, I probably gave 2 or 3 extra calls with meditations. So if it's needed, and there's one that I'm already hearing, I definitely will give a meditative call. So they're bonuses, if you will, based on the energy of the people and what they need.
Okay. Is there a limit to how many people can be in the class? Or is it anybody can be in it?
Well, usually a course like this, there wouldn't be over 12. I'd say 15 max.
Okay, that's good to
know. If I had more people, I would just give it another time, or I would have 2 different times for group calls so that everyone could get their needs met.
How did you come into this work, Gloria? I don't remember if we talked about that the first time.
Well, I believe we did a little bit, but like I said before, I believe we're all in a journey, and it's been a journey. A couple of clients asked me one day on a call, we were doing a group thing, and they said, how'd you get to be who you are? And I thought, that's a loaded question.
Oh, that is funny.
But I really gave some thought to it. And I would say, how I got to this place of teaching the kind of work I do, being graced with the gifts that I have, feeling the peace that I hold these days that I didn't start out with. I would say it started out with just wanting to feel better.
Oh, okay.
Just wanting to feel. I used to cry all the time, and I would get angry about this and sad about that. And not that we all don't have those emotions, right? But I was pretty imbalanced with them. Like they ruled my life. So my husband died, my first husband, suddenly when I was 27 years old.
Wow.
And I really started on a path that I knew I had to heal. I started a path a little bit, kind of baby steps before that. But once he died, I really delved in a much deeper kind of way. So I would say how I got to where I'm at is wanting to feel better.
Yeah. And in your healing yourself, you heal other people as well, which is absolutely awesome.
And I didn't start out with this kind of work, it's mainstream and one training after another, one seminar after another, one book, one mentor, like that. Went to this place.
Because I was gonna go ahead.
Well, it went from wanting to feel better to how can I connect with all that is, the beloved creator of all that is. How can I connect deeper? How can I help people connect? And that's all I care about now, you see.
And it's true. You really are that way.
Thank you.
From my experience, you really are that way. I was going to ask you, what were you like as a kid?
Shy.
Okay.
other than with my family and relatives, I wasn't shy at all.
Yeah.
But out in the world, I was extremely shy. So
Uh-huh.
much so that I remember, I believe it might have been fourth grade. I may not be correct about the grade, but I remember getting a U in conduct, not because I acted out, but because I wouldn't talk.
Oh my.
It's interesting because something like that, like I was shy, and
Uh-huh.
then eventually became a speaker for a speaking company, and I would get out on the stage, and my initial thought was, I can't do this, I'm shy. And then I'd have to chuckle and say, oh, that's not who I am anymore.
And now look at you, you're doing Facebook Lives.
Yeah, look at me now.
You're
So
not shy anymore.
if I can change, we all can.
It's really
so
true.
believe that. I so believe that we all have within us that ability to change. We just have to be able to find the help we need when we need it, and we have to be willing to do it.
That's the biggest key is, well, you're not going to find the help you need if you're not willing to do it, but you have to see that there's the need and be willing to do that. I remember the day that was a breaking point for me where it was like, nope, I need to do something different. It was
Yes.
very pivotal.
What I know about that too, JoAnne, sometimes people aren't willing to do it because their fear just overwhelms them. So it's not that they don't necessarily want to.
Right.
It's just so daunting.
Yes.
To them. Yeah.
Yeah. Or, I think for me, I finally just got so fed up with my life. I had no choice. It was go crazy, keep doing the same thing I'm doing, or do something that was going to change it. So, yeah. But it's different for everybody, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I just wanted to feel better.
Yeah.
That's how I perceived it. Like, I have to feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't you think that's a core with everybody, though, at some level? Because when I think about it, that probably answers what I did.
Yes.
I wasn't happy in my life. I needed to do something to feel better.
Yes.
Yeah.
But sometimes people get, they start feeling better and they think, well, I want to be enlightened, or I want to be whatever it is they're wanting to be. It could be something like, I want to be a coach, or I want to be enlightened. And they take trainings or learnings or go through, or I want to be a therapist, whatever it is that. So they start their healing from this other desire, but it's always to feel better, bottom line. But sometimes it's very specifically toward a particular thing or opportunity that they're wanting.
Do you think that is something that's predestined in our time frame in our life?
Well, what I've heard from all that is that which has been is written, and that which will be is written, yet malleable due to free will.
Yes.
Now that's the way I've heard it.
Yeah. Well, we all have free will, or there's no point, right? We're all just puppets if there's no free will. So we do have our choice, definitely.
It isn't that wonderful.
It is. And I think when you understand it, it helps so much more to know that everything that we play out is from free will. Yes. Even though it's destined to be, it's still free will.
Free will, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love free will.
I do too.
I don't want to be a robot,
Exactly. You want to know that you're making the choices you're making on your own.
Yes.
Yes. That you had the choice. And that's a big word that's come up this week is choice. We all have a choice. And which is so great about breaking free, because sometimes we don't understand the choices that are in front of us.
Yes.
And so it's giving us more, it's shining a light more on other options that we may have.
Thank you for saying that. I so feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's adding to your toolbox.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which I really like that, because, when I was hearing you talk about it, I was thinking, well, this is something that you're helping with the now. But after you get through the course and you learn it and you understand it, then that's a tool that you have to get you through every other now.
Yes,
because
you'll have those audios, you'll have those recordings.
Right.
go back and listen to
Yeah.
them. Go
And
back
practice.
and take 1 week that
Yeah.
that most resonates with you, and practice that until you
Mhm.
feel like it's a part of who you are.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to offer to people here on this Facebook
Mhm.
Live,
Mhm.
those who listen now and between this Saturday, which would be January the 11th, I wanted to offer anyone that's interested in the breaking free from your barriers. If you feel like you need a little bit more understanding of what it means for you individually or specifically, that I'm going to offer a discovery call for you.
Mhm.
And in the discovery call, it will just be about 15 minutes.
Mhm.
I will tell you specifically on a soul level what the breaking free from your barriers course could mean or do for you.
Uh-huh.
I won't be processing you through it or giving you activities or anything such as that. I will just give you that information. So then, if you feel like you need a little more information, you have what you need to open your heart and choose to do this if it's in alignment with you.
Um, can I come back to this in a minute? Because Valley just had a question that I think is really important. And hi, Marcia. Hi, Marcia. Sorry, I was like, hi, Marcia. That didn't sound very good to me. Hi, Marcia. Hi, Valley. Valley was asking, how would compassion help you protect yourself from the meanness of others?
Let me feel that for a moment.
Okay.
When you're holding compassion and being the essence of compassion itself, first of all, you're not going to look at others as mean. You're going to see that everyone acts out of the belief systems they hold, and that all behavior is telling you something about their pain or their belief system. So in that way, your emotions you won't take it so personally, because you'll understand it's truly not personal. That when someone, I always think like this: whoever acts the worst feels the worst. So when someone is acting in such a way that feels mean, he or she is feeling horrible on the inside.
Right.
And it's coming from a place of a pain or a wound inside them that hasn't healed. And that understanding, I truly believe, can take that need that you feel you have to protect yourself from. You change your perspective and the situation changes. How
That
you look.
is huge. You change your perspective. I want people to really get that. Because what you said was, don't take it personally. And that's what we tend to do. And we're taking it personally based on our wounded self.
Yes.
So if you can change your perspective, then you're going to see it in a whole different light. And that's so important because, okay, so I was going to play devil's advocate and say, but you don't understand. This person personally was mean to me. Why? And how do I not react back to that?
Well, if someone's mean to me, I look at, oh, I've been triggered here. I call it a trigger. And what I know about being triggered is that it's usually an emotional old wound. And it's not even about what's happening right there in that red hot moment. It really is about an old wound. So when I've been triggered, then I can feel that.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't feel good, right? It's horrible usually.
Yes.
I will go into meditation about it, let me tell you, because I'm not going to let something like that linger. I will go into meditation and I'll do some deep breaths and I'll call on celestial help. And I'll ask, why was I triggered here? What hurt is inside of me that this is reflecting?
I guess what I'm thinking, because I'm feeling like there's so many people that can have so many buts to that.
Yes.
This excuse, that excuse, whatever. So when you're talking about a trigger, which seems obvious, we know that that's something that's being triggered in us based on something. Can you talk a little bit more about how that's so deep in us and what exactly is causing that to happen, that we may still feel unjustified by that other person? or maybe the difference of if somebody offends you or does something to you, if you're not triggered, then you're going to act this way.
Yeah, if you're not triggered, then you're probably seeing it from the more true perspective. You're seeing
Right.
that it's something inside that person. You're staying in a space of loving acceptance toward that person and yourself, or a
Uh-huh.
state of compassion, and
Uh-huh.
you just become the observer of it. You
Yeah.
don't have to be a participant with it.
Yes, thank you. That is so important. You get to be the observer of it. You don't have to contribute to the heaviness of this issue. But
Yes.
usually we're triggered because we had some open wound in ourselves from our past that action is springing up. And usually doesn't that come back to more of our self-worth, our self-love?
I think it all comes back to self-love in one way or another. Don't we all want more and want to have that love, that loving acceptance,
We do.
for
We
ourselves?
do. Yeah.
I think of, answer your question a little more thoroughly, I think of a trigger as this place inside of you that's so wounded.
Hmm.
And I think of it like you can't just treat it like if you had a cut on your knee, you wouldn't not wash it and put some kind of medicine on it so it doesn't infect before you put the band-aid on it.
Hmm.
Well, I believe it's important that when you get hurt, don't just say, if you feel the hurt, don't just say, oh, well, I know that wasn't personal. I know it wasn't about me. He or she can go on because I know the truth. That's not going to help you. That would be, you would be, it's like putting a band-aid on your
Yeah.
cut that hasn't been cleaned first.
Hmm. Hmm.
So what you want to do is go deep within through some deep breaths, through breathing in God's loving acceptance, or bringing up a memory of where you felt the love for yourself, and breathe that memory deep into who you are and hold that memory within yourself until
Hmm.
you feel better about you. And
Hmm.
then ask, what was that trigger about?
Hmm.
Because it's really an old hurt,
Hmm.
probably back from our childhood at some point.
Hmm. Hmm. Because if you really understood that, no matter what somebody did to you, you're going to understand that that's coming from their wounds, not your wounds. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's very important. It's not easy to do all the time.
No.
We all understand that. But
I'm
that's
not,
where we need to come from.
well, and JoAnne, I'm not suggesting that this is always easy, any of this here. I'm
Yeah.
really not. But what I am
Yeah.
suggesting is, people say, well, that takes a lot of work, Gloria. And I say, it just takes a lot of love. So the more willing you are to love yourself through something, the more
Mhm.
likely you are to look at whatever that something is that's bothering you.
Yes. And I think that as you go on, as you start understanding it and practicing it and seeing it, it becomes easier to do
Yes.
because you have a better understanding. But with that, it always seems that you get to experience an up level in that.
I like that up level. I've been up leveled.
Get to find a whole new way of this whole thing. So, but that's what we're here for. We're here to learn. Let's see.
We're here to up level.
Exactly. That's what we're here for. So yeah, I thank you, Valerie, for that question. That's why I'm so happy I even glanced at the questions really fast, because that was a really good question. And
Yes.
you're not the only one that experiences that. We all do. So yeah, that was a very big topic. um, um, is there anything else that you wanted to share about this? I had another question, but it'll come back to me.
No, you go right ahead with your question.
Um, so, well, I was going to ask you, I see that we have Valley and Marsha on here. Do you want me to see if I can bring one of them on if they're willing and you can work with them for a minute?
Why don't you ask? Well, I wouldn't work with them other than just telling them what the course could do for them.
Yeah, that exactly. If one of you want me to send you the Zoom link, let me know and I will do that. Or if you have any other questions. What else are you up to these days? What's new? What's coming up?
For me?
Yeah.
Well,
What new things do you want to share with people?
what new things? Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just excited these days that I have a very clear understanding of the courses I'm to provide. It's like a 1, 2, 3, 4 courses, and it feels very good to me to have these courses that progress from one to the next to the next to the
Uh-huh.
next.
Uh-huh.
That feels very comprehensive, and it feels like a beautiful way to help people in a life-changing, transformative kind
Mm-hmm.
of way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited that Spirit has showed me how to do this. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just really happy about all of that.
You know, you're of all the people I know, you are the best example of how to live our lives in a balanced and joyful way. The only other person I know that comes close is Marcia, who's listening to this. We call her the Joy Lady. But no, you really are an example. And if people want to work with you, then they will put the information at gloriabasil.com, no, at gmail.com, right?
It's
Gloria
Gloria Boisel.
Boysal,
Yeah.
Boysal.
Yes.
And they can email you and connect with you that way. But even the work that you do when it comes to connecting with deceased one, or, you know, for me, the just tapping into your higher self and finding out what your soul really wants to have you do or know or think about. I love the think about parts. Hi, Denise. Um, that they can get a hold of you that way. And I would recommend people doing it because you are really definitely gifted in helping people to overcome things that they need to overcome.
Thank you. And just,
Things.
I'm as human as the next person. I do have my moments,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the difference in where I'm at now and where I used to be, I used to say I had bad years. And then I went from bad years to bad months. And then I went from bad months to bad weeks. Then I went from bad weeks to bad days. And rarely do I have more than, say, an hour or hours of something that's very uncomfortable for me.
Uh-huh.
Once in a while, I might have a couple of days, but it's rare. So
Uh-huh.
I say that's the progression
Uh-huh.
that's happened within me.
How do you think that you were able to accomplish that?
Oh dear, I would say determination to feel better, and then determination to be connected with our beloved creator, and determination to be of highest service as I possibly can to others. I want to live thy will. So
Yes.
uh, it's determination.
Well, to achieve that, what do you think the number one practice might be for people to be aware of, to change in their life, to start making their lives change and feel better?
The number one practice. Oh,
I know that's a big question, isn't it?
yeah, because there's so many different ways. And
Uh-huh.
like I'll talk with someone on a session, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'll hear a practice I've never read or heard about or thought about, and I'll say, "Wow, that's pretty cool, isn't it?" So I think it can be so individual, but
Huh.
I would say it really does come down to how can you bring love into you, or
Mhm.
how can you bring an emotion inside of you that makes you feel better. You might have to start with relief,
Wow.
and it can go from relief to
Mhm.
hope,
Mhm.
from hope to eager expectancy where you're
Yeah.
really feeling it. So start with how you can bring into an emotion that helps you to feel better than you do now. And
Mm.
I'll give you a way that I believe would be simple enough that most folks could kind of grab a hold of it and
Mhm.
possibly do it on their own.
Mhm.
And I was given this by angels, and it's the idea of breathing in whatever quality. Let's say you're just feeling hopeless.
Mhm.
You may want to just breathe in hope. Breathing in love of self, you're not going to get to that. from being hopeless.
Yeah.
So you may want just the essence of hope. Think of hope and think of, if I were to give hope a color, what color may I give it? And then start deep breathing. Close your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Be willing to do what it takes to
Mm-hmm.
move to the next emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Think of hope coming from the divine of all that is. As you breathe in, give it a color and feel that color go directly into your heart. That essence of hope go into your heart, or whatever the essence is. We're using hope as the example here.
Uh-huh.
And then take a moment and pause and envision that hope just with your intention expanding within your heart region. And then as you exhale, envision that hope as you breathe out and exhale permeating throughout your entire body. And keep doing these hope breaths. Now, something you can say that I was taught is I come from, I am made of, I am. You can say it from the beginning, you can say it at the end, you can say it with each breath that you take in. So for example, breathing in, I come from hope. As it pauses within your heart region, I am made of hope. As it permeates throughout your body, I am hope.
I love that. Chills. Oh, thank you. That, oh.
And I want to state here, it's not going to assist you in moving forward in a really deep way, but it will relieve you in that moment. You can begin experiencing a different emotion than that which you're experiencing. You're not going to move forward if you're staying in hopelessness.
Now, let me ask you, if somebody is doing that and they get a color, how would they know what the color means to their breathing that in? What is the color doing?
I just trust. You know how people say, well, this color goes with this chakra and this color goes with this essence and peace is this and love is pink and all that. Well, I think it's all wonderful. However, I believe you say what color represents hope to me, trust that the color it comes forth is a color you need.
I love that. Thank you. That was perfect.
And trust that if more than one color comes forth,
yeah,
a rainbow of colors come forth. That's what's meant for you. And know that it might be purple one day and blue later on that night, or pink the next day.
Does that mean anything if it changes colors like that?
Well, what do you think it means?
Well, I would think yes, but I was going to ask if you could share with people if that means anything.
Well, I think all things are energy and all things hold a vibration.
Yes.
So I think just as sound holds a vibration, so does color.
Yeah.
And so it must be the frequency or the vibration that you're needing within you at the time. That's my belief about it.
I think that was a perfect answer. That would have been my answer too. So I'm with you on that one. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. That was really beneficial.
Well, you're welcome.
Marsha said that she got yellow. That's why I asked.
Oh, yellow. Good for her. And she could just ask, what if she wants to know more? Like, well, what does yellow mean to me?
I love that. Ask.
Yeah, just ask. We can always ask, because if you say yellow to me, I kind of think happy, sunshine. Well, it may mean relaxation to someone else. It may mean depth of compassion to the next person, you see.
Yeah. And that's another really big, important point. Don't be afraid to ask what something means. You can converse with spirit, with the universe, with God, whatever you want to call that.
And you can converse with yourself.
Yes, and your higher self. Absolutely.
The soul of who you are, or even if it's the personality, that's the place to start, you see.
So if somebody this is a good topic. If somebody converses with their higher self and they've never done that before, could you give them some kind of guidelines on what they should do? Because, some people may doubt or think they're not hearing something, or if they do hear something, they may be feeling like, oh, that's just crazy. How would you help somebody?
There are times I hear stuff and I'm thinking, am I making this up? This is some good stuff here. I think it's a matter of just trusting what you hear.
Yes.
Because even if you are making it up, if it serves you, if it makes you feel better, and if it serves you and all that is, then hey, make up some more stuff.
Right. That's for sure.
In answer to your question, I would say that to begin learning about connection
Mm-hmm.
or connecting,
Mm-hmm.
quiet your mind and your heart. Do that in a way that feels good to you. If it's listening to music, if it's going deep into meditation,
Mm-hmm.
if it's deep breaths always help.
Mm-hmm.
Quiet your mind and heart and
Mm-hmm.
call forth that which you are wanting to connect with.
Mm-hmm.
And like if I wanted to connect, say, with my I am presence, I like to call the higher
Mm-hmm.
self.
Mm-hmm.
What I do, and I'm not suggesting this is the way because I didn't start out this way. There's so many, many, many ways, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
always have to go within and say, what resonates with me? What feels true and right for me?
Mm-hmm.
Because you may be told, well, do this is the cookie cutter that works for everyone, and it may not work for you.
That's right. Because we're all different and we all
Yes,
resonate differently.
I do the infinity symbol, and I do
Mm.
it in a vertical way.
Mm-hmm.
I start breathing in and I envision that infinity symbol within my body and going up, up, up into the body of my I am presence and coming back down. And then I'm calling on my I am presence and
Mm-hmm.
I'm envisioning it. Sometimes I use color. Sometimes I say I am that I am. So
Uh-huh.
that's a way that I begin this process of connecting with that higher self, as you
Mm-hmm.
call it.
I love that because that's the infinity symbol is never ending. So you're always, it shows you always have that connection to your higher, which you do. You always have that connect. And some people will say, well, it's gotten quiet. I love when people say, well, it's gotten quiet. Well, the higher self didn't get quiet. You just, you separated.
Well, it could be that higher self is telling themselves by being quiet.
Oh, could be that
It
too.
could be that they're needing to go more quietly within. It could be that
Mm-hmm.
they need to quiet how they're living their life. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that itself could be the message.
Mm-hmm. So do you think you need to be a scientist or a detective to be able to figure out all of these things?
I think you have to care enough about yourself to be willing to do them.
I think the other thing though is to really trust
Yes.
because your higher self isn't going to lead you down a dark road.
No. And if it's a message that feels like it's a dark road, it is not your higher self. It's your fear, your judgments coming into it.
That is really, really important because just because you do hear something doesn't mean you just follow it, especially if it's something that's leading you down a dark road.
You know, I had a woman I was working with many years ago, and she had 5 children.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want any more children. And she came to me and she says, but Gloria, I'm being told to have more children. But I don't really want any more children. I said, well, why would you be told to have more children when you don't want them? And what it was as I listened closely, it wasn't that she was being told that. It was from an expectation of what she should be doing as the woman and her religious upbringing and the man she was married to. So she just assumed because she was feeling it so strongly,
Uh-huh.
and she was feeling it even in prayer because she couldn't get her emotions, you see, out of the way,
Mm-hmm.
that she believed it was her higher self. I'm here to tell you, your higher self's not going to ask you to do something like that that's really not in your best interest for you to be
Mm-hmm.
doing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't
And
happen that way.
and that takes practice to really understand that because I guess what you do is you go into the energy of a person. So you get the feeling of the energy that's going on and you can actually do that for yourself. And that's how you start distinguishing what's going on and being said. Like sometimes if something feels off, your higher self, that energy. So if something's different, then you're going to feel it.
Yes. And just like everyone, I'm really good at telling other folks what to do.
I hear you.
And sometimes it's more difficult with myself. I mean,
Yes.
I've practiced enough that it's much, much easier than it,
Yes.
it had been in previous years.
Uh-huh.
But I still find it easier to help other folks because I have my own emotions and I'm attached to those emotions. I'm inside the skin.
I love it. Oh, I think that's a good point too, because that's why we need to have people that we can rely on to bounce things off of, talk to, work with, or whatever, however you want to do it, because we can fool ourselves.
We can. And we want folks that are loving. We want folks that are going to accept us unconditionally, because we don't need them to mirror back how bad we feel.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
that's not helpful. In fact, it's quite hurtful.
Yes. Yes. Yes, it's really important to have people around you that are going to help you when you're down, not to bring you down, for sure. Yeah. That you can trust to be able to speak what you are feeling and have them be a third party objective in a higher vibration, not a lower.
I love that. That's a beautiful way of saying it.
I have a few of those.
You have many.
Exactly. So we're going to post on here the Breaking Free and how to get a hold of you through that. Put your website on here. So if people want to get a hold of you, they can either email you, go to your website. You have some great stuff on your website. So I'll have that in the post. And as the replay of this happens, if anybody has any questions, then go ahead and put it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. We've been kind of all over the map on this one, which has been fun for me.
Isn't it fun to go all over the map?
I loved it. So I'm sure you're probably going to have questions about something we talked about tonight. So just go ahead and put it in the chat box and we'll get back to your questions. And I would really want to thank everybody who took the time to join us tonight and join us on the replay. And again, check out Gloria's Breaking Free class. I got to stop doing that. People tell me, stop clapping. Check out Gloria's Breaking Free class. She's got some other classes coming as well. And hopefully we'll have you back on soon, because I love having these chats with you. We'll come up with another subject so we can be like a jackrabbit again. Thank you guys. I haven't seen any hearts tonight. Wow. Thank you for the hearts. I bet that was Marcia. Was that you, Marcia? Do a heart if it was you, Marcia. Come on, Marcia. I put her on the spot. She's probably cooking dinner or something. But anyway, thank you. It's Marcia. Oh, and Valley. Hi, Valley. You're still with us. Yay. I hope we answered your question, Valley. So anyway, back to our conversation. If you have any questions, please ask. And if you have any last statements, Gloria, I'm sorry, that's what I asked you.
Oh, first of all, I'd like to thank you, JoAnne, for having me on again. It's as delightful as it was the first time. And I want to thank everybody for listening here today. And for those who watch and listen at another time, I appreciate you being on here. If you have a question that you want to ask me, you want to find out about my work, that kind of thing, please do feel free to email me and take a peek at my website. And I have some free gifts on there too. So start with the freebies, folks. I always think go to what's free, check it out.
Exactly. And there's some fun free stuff on there. So check out our website.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for doing this little conversation with me. And I hope everybody enjoyed it and everybody really learn about love and compassion for yourselves, and have a great rest of this week. And we will see you on the next live.
Aloha, everyone.